What's going on, guys? My name is Wade with TechDaily. So is the iPhone XR still worth it in 2023? Well, that depends. If you just need a phone, any phone, and your preference is iPhone, I think the XR is perfectly fine for now and for the foreseeable future. Sure, it's approaching 5 years old, but if we take into account the fact that the iPhone 8 is still supported on iOS 16, that means the XR will for sure have another year of major updates ahead of it, and maybe a few more years beyond that. For its age, the iPhone XR looks and feels nearly identical to the iPhones of today. Apple hasn't altered the design of the front or the rear at all, so if you're a little vain about rocking an old phone, don't worry, no one is going to differentiate this one from a brand new iPhone 14 at a glance. However, using the iPhone XR today means that some aspects, like its less than 1080p LCD display and single camera lens around back, might make it feel a bit outdated. After all, the XR's display was probably the single biggest point of contention on any recent iPhone, and camera tech, more than anything else, has evolved quickly and significantly. It's practically the only thing that's been truly different and better year over year with these iPhones. For well under $300 though, a third the price of a new iPhone 14, I don't think there's a better deal out there. You get all the fixings of an Apple device for a fraction of the cost, but for as hard as this phone has depreciated, the iPhone 11 and iPhone 12 are not too far behind it. So if you have a little more money to spend, and are particular about picture quality and pixels, those phones might be more worth it than this one. Whatever iPhone you have, I would recommend keeping it protected with a case from CaseCoup. The case I've been using on my own iPhone 14 Pro has been CaseCoup's Magic Stand case, and I couldn't be happier with it. It covers every corner and all the edges of the phone, including the camera bump and the screen with that raised edge, and it's functional too. There's a magnetic ring that flips out. You can use it as sort of a finger holder to get a better grip on your phone. You can also use it as a stand to prop up your phone. And this is great if you want to watch a video or just keep your device upright while you work, or even set up a FaceTime call hands-free. And the magnetic ring also gives you an even stronger MagSafe connection. They also come in a bunch of different colors. My favorite is this deep purple, and CaseCoup also just launched their Use Now, Pay Later promotion with Klarna. From now until May 27th, if you're in the US or Europe, you can grab a new CaseCoup case, try it out for a few days, and pay for it later or over time with 3 to 4 interest-free payments. If you're interested, I'll leave a link to CaseCoup's Magic Stand cases down below in the video description. And thanks so much to CaseCoup for sponsoring this video. Okay, so I sort of lied when I said that the iPhone hasn't changed physically in the last 4 or 5 years. That's technically not true. The iPhone XR came in the boldest, brightest, and most fun colors of any iPhone, and since then, we've been given muted, boring colors, but at least it's not as bad as Samsung's options. The XR was also curvy and rounded, and I think a bit more comfortable to hold, but with each new iPhone, flat versus curvy, I sort of changed my opinion. The most obvious physical feature of the XR really is its display bezels. This phone looks like it's at least 5 years old with its screen-to-body ratio, and the black borders surrounding the screen are a bit of an eyesore. But this phone is still the same basic shape, design, and form factor of the iPhones today, so between now and then, really not much has changed. Like I mentioned at the start, the display on the XR is less than ideal, to put it nicely, but I'm going to make a point in a minute, and I think you can agree with me on it. The 6.1-inch 1792 by 828 resolution liquid retina LCD panel was bad back in 2018, and it's really bad by today's standards. It's closer to 720p resolution than it is 1080. It's dim, there's tons of glare, it's not very colorful, there's obviously no high refresh rate. I don't know of any phone at any price point now that has a display this poor, but a vast majority of average consumers probably wouldn't notice or even care about what kind of display this is. And that was true when this phone launched. It was incredibly popular in spite of its display. The people who bought this phone just didn't care, and those who did opted for the XS iPhones. The people who bought this phone just wanted a newer, cheaper iPhone in a fun new color, and that's what they got. The display was not a top priority. Performance was also something the XR was a bit limited on, though honestly this wasn't as bad as people made it out to be. You got the same A12 Bionic processor here as you did in the more expensive XS and XS Max. You just got 1 less gigabyte of RAM. At the time, 3 gigs versus 4 gigs wasn't that much of a difference. Apple's phones had very few gigs of RAM anyway, but now this phone has half as much RAM as the current iPhones. But since iOS is universal and well optimized across across all devices, the day-to-day performance of this phone really isn't far off from what you'd get on even an iPhone 14 Pro today. All the apps are still supported, you still get all the iOS 16 features, so the phone feels current and new-ish. And like I said, probably another major iOS update within the next year for this phone, and likely more with Apple supporting devices for longer and longer time frames. Performance, in my opinion, has really become less and less of a factor on iPhones. Apple seems to agree with that as well. They didn't even put a new processor in this year's iPhone 14 after all. So for as underpowered or underspec'd as the XR seemed to be at the time, it's really not that far off by today's standards. If there were a silver lining with the lower resolution display and less powerful specs, it would be the battery life on the iPhone XR. It was pretty solid. The XR had nearly a 3000 milliamp battery inside, which isn't any smaller than any of the newer iPhones. And while Apple has certainly made improvements to longevity and battery optimization with the new phones, the XR for me was quite the Iron Man. It also charges at the same wired speeds as today's iPhones, same wireless speeds too. Apple hasn't improved anything there. You don't get any of the cool MagSafe accessories with this phone, but besides that, I thought the XR was one of the better iPhones when it came to battery life. Now, if there were a single factor that might make the XR not worth it in 2023, it would be the camera. Not because the camera on this phone is bad necessarily, but because camera tech has evolved more than any other phone feature in recent years. The XR had a single lens around back, just a measly 12 megapixel shooter, and an even worse 7 megapixel selfie camera that could record at just 1080p. Inside the camera app, Apple gave you features like portrait mode that relied heavily on software, and by today's standards wasn't very good. But you didn't have night mode, you barely had zoom, there was no wide angle, up close pictures weren't possible, and even the regular pics and videos on this phone are kind of subpar compared to what you'd get today on any $400 plus device. When this phone was released, I don't think people were that concerned with the cameras though. The XS had some of those extra features, but Apple wasn't touting it as a cinema quality shooter for feature films. Today, camera tech has evolved more than anything else on smartphones, and out of everything on the XR, that's I think where you would compromise most in using one today. Still, with all those considerations, I actually think the XR is worth it. If you have one, keep it. The last few new iPhones have been lackluster, to say the least, and you aren't really missing much, unless you really want a camera update or really want a better display. If that's the case, maybe just get an iPhone 12. That's the best option. If you need an iPhone and you don't want to spend $600 or $700 or $1,000, the XR is available now for well under $300. I got mine from Plug Tech. You guys know this is my 6th or 7th different iPhone from them now. They sell gently used and refurbished iPhones, iPads, laptops, AirPods, and a whole lot more at ridiculous prices. And the quality of the tech they sell, I think, is a lot higher than like Amazon Renewed or eBay Refurbished. The XR I have here is literally flawless. No marks or scratches anywhere, the screen looks perfect, there's no dents on the aluminum, and everything works. And best of all, they actually give you a charger and cable in the box, unlike Apple, so you can, actually charge the phone you bought. So there you go. Those are my thoughts on the iPhone XR in 2023. What do you guys think? Is it worth it? Do you have one? Are you going to keep it for a while? Let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts, of course. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this video though. Be sure to follow TechDaily on Twitter and subscribe to the TechDaily YouTube channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys later.